Welcome to the #1 source for information, news, and opinion on your Columbus Blue Jackets. This is CBJin30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. You can also find the audio version on the CBJ Radio SoundCloud page, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Google Play Music, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Now here's your host, Bob McElligott.
Is over, and another one is just about to begin. Welcome to a Monday Mailbag edition of CBJin30 presented by Telhio Credit Union. The Blue Jackets eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs last night, Game 5 of their Stanley Cup qualifying series. Not only eliminated them, not only beat them, but for the second time in the series, shut them out. Now, let me ask you this question. After watching Game 4 of the series, after watching the Toronto Maple Leafs and their high-powered offense come back and score 3 times with the goaltender pulled in under 4 minutes and then win in overtime, watching the Blue Jackets have a 3-0 lead with 4 minutes left and lose the game in overtime, having just seen that, did you in your wildest dreams imagine that the Blue Jackets would do what they did last night and blank the Toronto Maple Leafs? Blank them. I mean, Toronto had no answer for anything the Blue Jackets brought their way. Zero answers. And they got 0 goals because of it. But what an all-out, gutsy, full team performance for the Blue Jackets last night to eliminate the Leafs. It was more than impressive, I thought, because they just went out and they did what they do. And not only did they do what they do when it comes to playing the game, but they went out and they proved to the hockey world that they're resilient, that everything we say about them when we watch them day in and day out, and, you know, it's a privilege for me. I get to know them. I get to watch them play. I know what makes them tick. And last night, they went out and they did their job. And they talked about it during the morning availability. You know, they were just like, that last game's behind us. And, of course, when it comes to the media, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear a nice, juicy quote. They want to go back and they want to relive things. John Tortorella, he just doesn't let them do that. Tortorella is a straight-ahead guy in these types of situations. It's a look forward, don't look back. And he has that mindset just instilled in his team. And they didn't look back. They only looked forward. What a big help it was to have Zach Werenski and Ryan Murray back in the lineup. Werenski scored one of the goals. He scored the first goal of the game that gave the Blue Jackets the early lead in the first period. And then they just locked down on it. They just, again, played their game. It's a boring thing to say. I get it, but it's just true. They were just in shooting lanes. They were handling the rush of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They were just doing the little things that were making big differences in that game last night. And because of that, they get the win. Because of that, they now move on. Because of that, they are in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like, that was a qualifying series. They were playing postseason hockey, yes. But now it's official. 4 straight years, this team has made the Stanley Cup playoffs. And they made it after losing 3 key free agents last summer. They made it when everybody outside of Columbus said they were left for dead. When everybody said they wouldn't do it, they've stepped up and they've done it. Now they've got to do much more. If you really want to impress people, you've got to do much more. And that starts with knocking off the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yes, it is a rematch of last year's first round. But this one will be different in some ways. This time, you will not catch the Tampa Bay Lightning by surprise. As a matter of fact, the Tampa Bay Lightning will be eager to punish the Blue Jackets for what happened last spring. And they will get that opportunity. Can the Blue Jackets do to them what they just did to the Leafs? Can they do to them what they did to them last spring? It will not take long to find out, because Game 1 is tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. This is a Monday Mailbag edition of the show, which means you have plenty of questions, and I have plenty of answers. But right now, let me tell you about Telhio Credit Union. They bring you this show They've been great about that. They've been terrific partners. I know some of them. They are great people. And what they do at Telhio Credit Union is they put people over profit, and they have done it since 1934. They're good at doing it. They know how to take care of people. They know what you're looking for. They know the services that you need. They know some little perks that they can give you so that you not only have the service, but you're getting something extra. That's just one of the ways they go about putting people above profit. 1934, that's how long they've been doing this since. So there's no need for you to have just a regular bank when you have a credit union that will put you first. It's very simple. Telhio Credit Union. Find them online. Find out about all of their services, everything they offer, how to join, everything. It's all there online at telhio.org. So again, you have questions. I want to get to those in just a second, but I kind of gave you the recap on the game last night. Werenski scores. I didn't mention Liam Foudy, which I should have. So let's just do this. This will be the game recap. It's being brought to you by Moo Express Car Wash. Do you moo? The CBJ do. Zach Werenski had that first period goal for the Blue Jackets. It set the tone in the game last night. You know what I found really funny about that goal? Really funny is that Zach shoots it. Boone Jenner's going in front of the net with a defender right on him. The puck hit something. And I looked at this a million times, and I still can't figure out what it hit. I thought it might have hit Boone, but they gave the goal to Zach. But the funny thing was Zach is coming toward Boone, and he's pointing to him. Watch the replay. He's pointing to Boone like, is that yours? Oh, that's mine? He's like, oh, yeah. So he was surprised that it was his. He saw it deflect or heard it deflect as well. But anyway, it must have hit the Maple Leafs player. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Zach's first of the postseason. Blue Jackets have a 1-0 lead. But in that third period, Liam Foudy, just I was going to say a couple of weeks ago, not true. A couple of months ago, he's playing in London of the Ontario Hockey League. Let's go back even further. Let's say 6 months ago. He's playing in London. He's a former first-round pick. He came into camp this year. He actually got hurt and never got the full exposure of training camp, never got his opportunity to win a spot on the roster. So he was hurt. He comes back from injury finally. They send him down to London. But because of the Blue Jackets' overall injury situation, he gets to come up and play 2 games. Enough to make an impression on John Tortorella, an impression in the positive. So he gets in this series. And last night, he gets the Blue Jackets a huge goal. It's a 1-0 game. It's a third period. The puck is put back into the Leafs' end. I don't know what they were doing. All I know is I saw Liam Foudy, and I saw nobody else. Martin Marincin, big defenseman, was on the ice somewhere in the vicinity, but he gave him room. And I thought, Liam Foudy's going to walk this puck right to the net. I know he's going to walk this puck right to the net. I've been watching him the whole series. He's very visible. What did he do? Walks it right toward the net and shoots it off the body of Frederik Andersen and in. And what a huge goal. For him, it's the first of his National Hockey League career. For the Blue Jackets, it was insurance. It was a little bit of breathing room. And it was a 2-0 game. A little later, Nick Foligno adds the empty netter to seal the deal. And Jonas Korpisalo. Yesterday, out of nowhere, John Tortorella tells me Elvis Merzlikins is hurt. Korpisalo's got to play. For the second time in this series, he not only wins, but he wins by shutout. And I loved his game last night. I thought he was just calm. There were no extra movements. I think the only time that he really scrambled and he got out of position was when John Tavares hit the post squarely with the shot. So did he get lucky on that? Yeah, he did. But you've got to be lucky in some form to be a goaltender in the NHL because they're going to put the puck on net. Tavares literally put the puck on net, hit the post. That's the only time that I thought that he was out of control in the crease. He was locked in, solid. That's what he was. And that's all they needed. They just need their goalie to be solid. When it was 2-0, was late in the game, the Leafs pulled the goaltender. I didn't think it felt anything like the game before. I felt that they had it under control. Why? The goalie's playing well. He's playing calm in the crease. But Zach Werenski being back, huge difference. Huge difference. Just a calmness. And Zach brings a calmness, too. He also brings it to Seth because they read so well off each other, they don't need to think. You know, if Seth Jones is out there late in the game with somebody else like he was the game before, maybe he makes a read that other guy doesn't make, and they're not on the same page. Never happens with Zach. Never happens. Always on the same page. So, simple as that. What a win for the Blue Jackets. What a way to move on to face the Tampa Bay Lightning. All right, I'm going to move on and read your questions. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start on Twitter. I've got them two ways. On Twitter, at Bobby Mack Sports. I have some emails as well. BobbyMack at BlueJackets.com. Here we go. Starting on Twitter. Justin Needham, very simple question. How excited are you? Well, really excited. We finally get back to playing hockey, and the Blue Jackets pulled an upset. They were the 9 seed. Toronto was the 8 seed. Say what you want. Blue Jackets pulled an upset. So very excited to continue to watch the Blue Jackets play. Jacob Eifert says, who impressed you the most in the Toronto series? That's a great question, Jacob, because it makes me think a little bit. Korpisalo really impressed me. In the 2 games that he won by shutout, he impressed me. And again, the one he got pulled wasn't necessarily his fault. He just had to go in that game. He gave up 3 goals. One of them was his fault. The other 2, breakdowns. So I was really impressed with his play. But again, Liam Foudy and Alexander Texier, the 2 young rookie forwards, really just jumped out. I thought every time they had the puck, they were noticeable. They were always doing something. So they jumped out to me a lot. If you want to, when the goalie plays well, he stands out, right? But I think Korpisalo is taking another step here. Now, he's going to face some really tough competition from here on out. It only gets harder. It doesn't get easier. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It does not get easier. But I think he's taking a step. But those 2 young guys, I can't wait to see how they perform in this next series because I was really impressed with the way they performed against Toronto. Lauren says, do you get to go to the bubble now or no? Either way, my family and I are happy as long as we get to hear you call the games. It was so great to dance around the house while you called the final seconds of Game 5. I think we all needed a win. Yeah, that's for sure. All needed a win. No, I don't get to go to the bubble. I think you've got to go. I think the word is, no, I know what the word is. I don't think it. I know what the word is. I just don't know if it's absolutely true. You've got to get to the conference final, and then you can go to the bubble, which would be in Edmonton. So there's 2 more series to win before that. So it's not even going to be a long time, though, because these games are going to come fast and furious. Every other day, the teams are going to play. Bakes. Well, first of all, Bakes wanted a podcast 20 to 30 minutes right after the game was over, but sorry, Bakes. Didn't do that. I mean, I should be allowed to soak it in a little bit too, right? No, I had other stuff going on. But here I am. So here's the question for Bakes. It says, was Elvis, quote unquote, unfit to play, explanation, their way of giving him the night off? We need him in the playoffs, and do you think he'll be available for the Tampa series? Best guess. They didn't just give him the night off. If he didn't play, he's hurt. They didn't dress Matisse Kivlenieks because they felt that Elvis needed a night off to regroup after giving up 3 goals in the final 4 minutes of regulation in the previous game. No, he's hurt. If John Tortorella says he's hurt, he's hurt. Now, how hurt? Not being in the bubble, I can't tell you. But will he be available for this series? I don't know. Right now, as I answer this for you, I do not know. My guess? Not early on, anyway. That's my guess. Based on what? Little birds. But what the little birds are saying, I don't know. I don't know if these are, they're not the normal birds I listen to. Okay. So I got to look into it. But right now, I don't know. I wouldn't expect it. And at this moment, don't take this the wrong way. I know you're going to, but I'm just going to say it anyway. At this moment, I don't care because Korpisalo played so well last night. And this is a team that has had injuries, and they've moved by those injuries. When Matisse Kivlenieks started a game at Madison Square Garden against the New York Rangers, and the Blue Jackets were, I think that was in their point streak. When he got the nod there, didn't you say to yourself, really? Really? You're going to put this guy in the world's most famous arena and expect results in his first NHL game? Didn't you think that maybe they could go with Elvis and try to get the points against the Rangers? I did. I thought all of those things. And what did Matisse Kivlenieks do? He went out there and he won the game. Got his first NHL win. Made me feel stupid for thinking otherwise. So, again, so when I say I don't care, it's not that I don't care about Elvis. Of course I do. And, of course, he is a big part of what's going on here and has been all year. I get it. But who's ever available to play is going to play. And with Korpisalo's performance in that series, I think they're all right. I think they're all right. James Ayers III. He says, are we being unrealistic to expect young players like Dubois, Foudy, and Texier to carry this team early in their careers? Even Jones and Werenski are still young compared to the playoff grizzled veterans that most experts say win the Stanley Cup. You've got to have a veteran presence to an extent, I think. But I also think this is a different type of a year. Being in the bubble, playing in front of no people, just think of the extra stress that eliminates from the game. And I'm thinking about this. So last night, the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing in their own building. They're in their own dressing room, which I thought was to be avoided, but they were in it. They're in their own building, in their own city, in their own dressing room, in an elimination game, and they got nothing. Butkus. That's what they got. Now, if there were people in that building, would that have made it better or worse for them? As long as it was 1-0 going into the third, there would have been murmurs turning to shouts of frustration. But there also could have been, they could have maybe drawn off that, and I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it here, but it's just a different year. So you need guys to show you the way, but I think the Blue Jackets have enough guys that have shown the younger guys the way. Can you expect, I think you have to expect Dubois to carry. Foudy and Texier, they're not ready to carry a team. They're contributing. But Dubois, he's got to take on more. Jones and Werenski are just, they just lead naturally by the way they play. So that's, I don't think you're putting any extra undue pressure on those guys. Dubois, yeah. I don't think it's unrealistic to expect him to carry the team. He's that kind of a player when he's playing well. But it's just a different year. I mean, who knows? Look, Blue Jackets are now hot, okay? You just need a hot goalie and good, solid team play to go a long way in this thing. And that's what they had last night. And they had that a couple of times. And they had it for the most part the entire series. So just roll. Let's see. SG says, now that the series is over, how different or difficult was it calling the game using a TV screen to see the action as opposed to being there in person? In person, I assume it's helpful seeing a developing play. Now you see only what the camera shows you. Well, that's true. That is true. Look, you want me to mince words or you don't want me to mince? You probably don't want me to mince words. I don't think you tune in to listen to me mince words. So listen, it sucks. It sucks to call the game the way we're calling it. I'm not going to lie. I hate it. Can't stand it. The emotion of it is out. I feel detached. There's no, without fans, what I like to be in that building with the fans. And when it's the home fans, you feel great. And when it's the opposing fans cheering, you just want to slap them all silly. I mean, that's how I am. That's the way I call a game, with that kind of emotion. I don't have it. We were going into the third period last night, and I was excited they were winning, but it's not like being there. It's not normal. and I don't like it at all. Don't. However, it is the hand that we're dealt right now. So you have to make it work. I have two screens. The one is the television feed. The other is a shot of the full ice. But the full ice shot I can't use the way I would normally look out of the press box. So, yes, when you talk about plays developing, you're absolutely right. I can't see them develop as much, especially on a stretch pass out of the defensive zone through the neutral zone and into the other end. I have to wait for that camera to swing, or pan is the term. I have to wait for the camera to pan. And go back to game one, Cam Atkinson, the goal that he scored to start the scoring for the Blue Jackets in that game. David Savard fires it all the way out of the zone, down the ice. By the time the camera gets there, Cam's already got it, and he's in the act of shooting. And I'm just trying to identify who has it. If I were there and I was sitting upstairs, I would have seen Cam behind the defense, and I would have been anticipating that pass, and it would have been a much cleaner call. But, again, you deal with what you have. One thing about the television feed is you're much closer to the players than you are when you're at the games. So, they're much more easily identifiable looking at a TV screen than sitting way upstairs and looking at the ice. But I'm used to it, and I like the sitting upstairs and watching things develop. But I don't like this at all. I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting in a room. There's no atmosphere. Thank goodness for the fake crowd noise that they put in my ears. Otherwise, it would be, I could go to a library and call the game. No, I can't. They're all closed, right? Anyway, you know what I'm saying. It's just, let me put it to you this way. It's the last thing I'll say about this. I just hope that on the air, it sounds normal, because where I'm at, it doesn't feel normal at all. At all. What else? Well, I do. Here's one last thing. The only pluses to doing it like we're doing it right now is I'm in a room where there's a bathroom right there and a refrigerator too. Other than that, those are the perks. Because like in many press boxes, you got to walk. If you want to go to the restroom, you got to walk. Carolina, you got to walk a long way. You got to set some time aside to get there. So those are the conveniences. They're not many. They're not many. All right, let's go to the emails at bobbymac@bluejackets.com. And I'm going to start with my good buddy Waldo Pepper. Waldo says, what a game and what a series. So many important things to discuss and ponder as we look ahead to the Tampa Bay series. There's nothing more vital for us radio listeners to know what the Blue Jackets would do if Bob McElligott were to blow out a left vocal cord or choke on a chicken wing mid-game and couldn't continue a broadcast. Here's hoping it never happens. But seriously, who would be your replacement in an emergency situation? You were magnificent as usual in the remote broadcast, and we don't want to lose you. Well, thanks, Waldo. You're not going to lose me, unless I choke on a chicken wing during a broadcast, I guess. But they're frowning upon us bringing in food right now, so you're okay with that too. But if something happened in the midst of a game, Dylan Tyre, who does our pregame and intermission hosting, he would be excellent. He would step in and do it and wouldn't miss a beat. So that's the answer to that question. I know it's a quick answer, but that's the question you asked. And I can do it with a quick answer. So thank you, Waldo. I appreciate that. Now I've got some voice questions where some people have decided that they would really like to literally be on the show and have their voice heard. So let's go to those and get you the first one here.
Hey, Bob. Andy and Asensi here from Westerville, Ohio. I had a question about the defense. I was wondering, I know in basketball they have various zone defenses like the 1-3-1, the 2-3, 3-2, and man-to-man. And I was wondering, what kind of defense do the Blue Jackets run that make them so successful, in addition to everyone collapsing the net, playing a total team defense and blocking shots, clogging lanes, that kind of deal. I wonder what kind of system they ran that makes them so successful. I'm new to hockey, and I was just wondering how many different defenses there were and what the Blue Jackets ran. I'd love to hear back. Thanks for answering my question.
Well, it's a good question, and I'll be honest with you, it's one I got to look into a little bit more because I know they play a zone. I don't know, and it's again, it is a great question because in basketball they do have all those different defenses, and I'm sure it's similar, but I don't know if it's as thorough as that. You know what I mean? So that's probably a Jean-Luc Grandpierre, Jody Shelley question that I can ask and get more clarification on. But they do play zone, right? We do know that. Liam Foodie, as a matter of fact, told Jody Shelley and I on the Inside Edge last week. I think we had him on. I don't. All the weeks are starting to run together again. But anyway, he said when he was in London in the Ontario Hockey League, they played a man-to-man defense. So you were always following your guy around the ice. And here it's a zone, so you're responsible for areas of the ice. And those are adjustments that he is making to his game. So I'll look into that further for you, Andrew. But it's a good question. But yeah, they do play a zone, and not the man-to-man. So, and I'm glad you're asking the question. I'm glad you're new to hockey. It's good to have you aboard. That's one of my favorite things about this time of the year is the new fans that we pick up along the way. You get into the playoffs and people start to make a fuss and other people go, hey, what's the fuss all about? Sometimes bandwagon fans get knocked, not by me. There's room. Get on. All right, let's go for another question here.
Hey, Bob, Cameron Maynard here. Man, what a win that was tonight. I think Corpy really, really responded well to being benched in Game 3 and came up with a shutout tonight. I think that really bodes well for us moving forward. It just shows what a great goaltending core we have and that we're set up for years to come at that position. I'm shocked that we held the Maple Leafs' high-powered offense scoreless in 2 games this series. I think that, like I said, I think that also bodes well for the future. So I'm happier that we're moving on. We're playing the Lightning in the next series, who obviously have a bad taste in their mouth from the sweep we had against them last year. And that in and of itself is why I think this is going to be a really tough series to win. But we know, okay, so here's my question. We know what the Jackets have to do, like in the game itself to win the series. Well, like we know what they have to do in the game itself. But my question is, like, I'm just saying that I don't want the Jackets to get the big head, I guess you could say, and just think that Tampa just can't beat them just because of what they did last year. We don't want that to end up being a fluke. I don't want the Jackets to think that just because they swept them last year that, they're invincible to the Lightning and the Lightning just can't beat them, because they can. And, Tampa is going to be ready. They're going to make amends. They're trying to make amends for last year. And, the Jackets, like I said, in my opinion, I hope they know that. And my question is, what do you think Torts has in store for them in terms of, like, the mental aspect and, like, in terms of, like, getting them mentally ready for this series against the Lightning? How do you think Torts is going to go about that? Look forward to answering my question. Thanks.
Well, it's another good question. I love Cameron. Cameron's like so into it right there, right? That's the exuberance of beating the Toronto Maple Leafs and then worried, for lack of a better term, about this next series. Look, Cameron, you're absolutely right. The Tampa Bay Lightning is going to be licking their chops. John Cooper, their head coach, if you think that he doesn't want to stick it to John Tortorella and the Columbus Blue Jackets, you're nuts. Because last year he was embarrassed. His team was embarrassed. They know. They know this is an opportunity. So you're right. There is concern about getting past this next round. There's going to be concern about getting past every round from here on out, but these guys will have a chip on their shoulder. These guys have something to prove. That last year was a fluke. And listen, let's be completely honest. They are getting a Blue Jackets team that is devoid of as much offensive talent as last year's team. That's a fact. There is no Artemi Panarin. There's no Matt Duchene. There's also no Sergei Bobrovsky. And as well as Jonas Korpisalo played against the Leafs, he's going to have to step it up further against the Lightning to equal what Bob did last year. Again, if you go to game one, Bobrovsky's huge save when the Blue Jackets were trailing gave them the spark and the energy and the opportunity to turn it around and come back and win that game. Okay? Say what you want. He was a really important part of winning that series, and that save alone was a huge part of it. So, all of that being said, the Blue Jackets will not have a big head. They will not expect to show up and win against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They know, and just in case they've forgotten, John Tortorella will let them know that he can still play the same card. Everybody's counting us out. Everybody knows we beat these guys last year, and they're coming after us, and they think they're going to get us this time. We'll play the same cards. He always does. It's what he's best at. He will have them mentally ready. How many people in Toronto or anywhere else in the hockey world outside of here, how many people thought that he had them mentally ready for last night's game? That after the ultimate collapse in Game 4, that he would have them where they were last night with the way that they played and the job that they did. You got to be around here every day and watch what he does and how he talks and motivates and all that stuff. If you're not around it every day, if you're on the outside and you just look in for a series or a game, you have no idea. No idea. He'll have them ready mentally. They know, and he's going to tell them. They're coming for you. They are. Braden Point, he's going to try to light it up. Tyler Johnson is going to try to light it up. How many other guys on that team? They're Stamkos is hurt. I don't know when he's going to play. Victor Hedman got hurt in the round robin. How long is he going to be out? Answers I don't have right at this second for you. But all I know is they're talented. They're good. Nikita Kucherov, after what happened to him last year, where they shut him down, where they had him so frustrated he took a terrible penalty and got suspended, you think he's not going to try to stick it right to the Blue Jackets? He will. Absolutely he will. All of them. Every one of those guys that was there last year, and that's most of them. They haven't forgotten, and they see this as a great opportunity. And the Blue Jackets can do it again. They can. Will they? We'll find out. But I know they can. All right, I've got one more question for today's show. Here it is.
Hey, Bob. Joe from Cleveland. Well, the Jackets sure put themselves in a position of playing a lot of unnecessary hockey this weekend. Thankfully, they pulled it off. It's going to be an interesting rematch with Tampa Bay, so we'll see what happens there. I ended up listening to you exclusively call the games this weekend, and as I traveled about, it seemed to me, from what I heard, that the officiating was different from game to game. So here's my question. Since they're in the bubble, is the officiating crew the same throughout the series, or do they change the crew game to game? Thanks for all you do.
Well, Joe, that's a good question, too. And thanks for listening up in Cleveland. And we're on during the playoffs in Cleveland on our radio partner up there, WKNR. So I'm glad to have you listening. I'm always glad to have people listening. I mean, it's what I do, and I'm happy that that you got to take advantage of it. But to get to your question about the officiating, there are officials in the bubble just like there are players in the bubble. So there's different officiating crews for every game. Wes McCauley was one of the guys last night. I forget who the other referee was, but they had Wes 2 times during the series, and that'll happen. But when they call it differently, it's just like last night they let him play for the most part. I think they were, and I'm fine with this as long as it's not anything egregious. Let the players decide the game. It's an elimination game. Let them decide it. And you could make the argument, well, if they're committing penalties and there's power plays, they are deciding it because they're breaking the rules. Yeah, but still, I mean, listen, anything that's borderline, you don't got to call that. Let them play it. Let them figure it out themselves. Stay out of it. Those guys, I thought, did a good job of that last night. I thought they stayed out of it and let the players play the game. So, but yes, there are a group of referees and linesmen that are inside the bubble, and they do rotate from game to game. So you're not getting the same guy all the time, which is, well, it's good because it can work both ways, right? I mean, you could get a guy that seems to give you favorable calls, but then you can get somebody that just for whatever reason, it seems like you're always getting what you feel to be unfair calls or whatever. And nobody wants the same guys all the time. So they don't have the same guys all the time. It's as simple as that. So great questions today. I really appreciate them, and I think they were very well thought out. So thank you for those questions in the Monday mailbag. You can ask me questions anytime. You can tweet me at Bobby Mac Sports. You can email me, bobbymac@bluejackets.com, BOBBYMAC @bluejackets.com. You can do that anytime you want to. I'm doing this show 5 days a week, so if you have a question that comes up, even though it's not Monday, doesn't mean that I won't answer it. I mean, I might get to it. Depends on what it is. See if you can grab my attention with your questions. All right, let's go through the Blue Jackets playoff leaders here. They're being brought to you by Franklin University. Franklin makes it possible. And when it comes to goals for the Blue Jackets in this NHL postseason, Stanley Cup playoffs now officially is that. Pierre-Luc Dubois leads the way with 3. He had that hat trick in Game 3 against the Leafs. Cam Atkinson has 2 goals. And then you've got Nick Foligno, Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, Boone Jenner, Alexander Wenberg, Liam Foudy, and Vladislav Gavrikov. They each have 1 apiece. The assist leaders in this, I'm scrolling through. Oh, there it is. I'm scrolling through this, and I'm trying to find exactly what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at the wrong place. Assist leaders, Cam Atkinson and David Savard each have 3 for the Blue Jackets. Nick Foligno and Alexander Texier have 2. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Seth Jones, and Zach Werenski, as well as Gus Nyquist, all have 1 assist in the playoffs for the Blue Jackets so far. As I scroll through, I see power play goals. That's one thing. We'll talk about that someday. We're going to have to talk about it someday because I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you this. They went 0 for 13 or 14 on the power play in that series. That can't happen. They've got to figure that out. They have got to figure that out to some extent. It just can't be a goose egg. It has to be somewhat of a threat. If it's not, the Tampa Bay Lightning will run you to that box, or they'll run into the box taking liberties every game because you can't hurt them on the power play. Because you can't. They'll do that. I'm telling you they'll do that. You've got to come up with some kind of a threat on the power play. We didn't talk about it during that series because it turned out not to matter. It will matter as the Blue Jackets continue to play here. Okay? That thing is pitiful. It's non-existent. Brutal. How many words do you want me to come up with to describe the power play? Okay? They've got to figure that out. It doesn't have to be upper echelon. It's got to be a threat. Right now, it's not a threat. Not a threat at all. Got to improve in that area for this series against the Tampa Bay Lightning. By the way, I forgot to tell you, and I'm going to do it right now, the questions in the Monday mailbag brought to you by the Columbus Dispatch. All right, tomorrow gets underway. Second, well, not the second round. It's the first round. Second series of this postseason. It is the Stanley Cup quarterfinal round, the Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The puck drops at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. A couple of afternoon games here to start things off for the Blue Jackets and the Lightning. Our pregame coverage on the Blue Jackets radio network will start at 2 o'clock tomorrow. And trying to think of what else I have for you today. Nothing that I can think of. It's going to be a busy day, but it's going to be a bit of a mental break day. Does that make sense? I've got a lot of stuff to do today, but I also want to try to breathe, and because again, there's no rest for the weary. You start again tomorrow. I think that's good for the Blue Jackets coming off that momentum of last night. Just take the day, practice, and go to work tomorrow. So again, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the Blue Jackets and the Lightning will face off. Pre-game coverage at 2 o'clock on the Blue Jackets radio network. And that is going to do it for a Monday mailbag edition of CBJin30 presented by Telhio Credit Union. Until tomorrow, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.